Ba ba na 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 na. Ba ba na 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 na. Ba 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 na 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 na. Welcome to the first ever Harris Highlights podcast, coming to you from the Walter Cronkite School of Journalism in downtown Phoenix. I'm Blake Harris. Joining me tonight are Josh, Brady, Spencer, and Lyle. We're here tonight to discuss and debate various topics in the college football world. Gentlemen, how are we doing this evening?
I'm doing well. I'm Josh.
Fantastic.
I'm doing great.
Couldn't be better.
All right, so now, guys, obviously, we're all from Arizona State, so we might have a little bias with us this evening, but let's try to, contain ourselves and be the best that we can. Can we make this promise right now?
No,
Yes.
probably not.
Probably
I'm
not.
going to say right now.
This started off super serious, but it's going to be turning into like a total bashing of each other. I hope you guys know that.
I
It's
go to
gonna be a
Arizona
roast.
State, but I'm a USC fan.
It's
Forks
gonna
up.
be it's gonna be a full-on
That's all I'm
roast
gonna
by the
say.
end of the show. All right. First off, to kick everything off, we have the top 25 that came out this week. I'm gonna kick it to Josh first. Josh, what are your thoughts about the top 25?
Well, if we're going to get into teams that are extremely overrated and underrated, I'm going to go straight for the overrated, and I'm going to point out number 10, Washington. And my biggest thing is, yes, they are 4-0. Yes, they're out of the Pac-12 North. But after multiple 7-5 seasons in a row, who thinks it is a fantastic idea to rank them in the preseason top 15? They haven't played anyone good, and they're ranked at number 7 in the country last week. They've dropped to number 10 after an overtime thriller against Arizona, which is
Great
It
game.
was a great game. It was I understand why they dropped, but and that was the first team that they've played that made me want to see more of UW.
Yeah.
However, Arizona is not that great of a football team either, and I've been very unimpressed with
Grambling
U of A.
State,
Yes,
anyone?
Grambling State. We'll get to Arizona State and UTSA in a few minutes.
Oh, God.
But hey, we'll discuss that. But
A win's a win. Come on.
a win is a win, and for Arizona, a win is a win against Grambling State. However, Arizona is not that great of a football team, which makes me think that Washington's victory over U of A is not as substantial as a lot of people think it is, although that was their first major victory of the season.
Brady?
I'm in the same boat as Josh right now. But the big thing that I'm thinking about is the SDSU. They're ranked, 19th? 3-0, but what competition have they had?
Yeah. Their best game of the year is Cal, and they're 2-2, so it's obviously not as
And you can throw the same
impactful.
boat as Texas in there, too. ASU beat Cal. Cal beat Texas. Therefore, ASU should be in the top 25.
Yeah, and Texas's only major win is against Notre Dame, who, I'm sorry, Lyle, has proven to be anything but a competitive team this year. I mean, so personally, I'm just going to jump the boat right now. I think Texas has no reason being in the top 25.
I think this will be their last week in the top 25 for a while.
Yeah.
I'm going to say definitely, but kudos to Charlie Strong for bringing Texas football back. But
Back on the map, for sure.
definitely,
Yeah.
but
And also,
even
shout
with-
out to Miami at number 14. I think that they're overranked as well.
I love
but
Miami.
it's good to see.
I'm definitely
U.
going to have to agree with you on that. With me being a Miami fan, I love the U, and even with them still being 3-0, I'm still on the fact of them being overrated.
Well, what about the Sun Devils being 4-0, having beat Texas Tech and Cal? Obviously not top 10 or even top 25 teams, but these are two of the best offenses in the country, and Arizona State was able to quell both of them while putting up half 100 points on both teams.
Yeah.
4-0.
ASU's 26th.
Yeah.
Quote unquote 26th.
And even unbiasedly, I really don't think that. I mean, I really do think that they should be in the top 25. I mean, you look at Boise State; their 3 wins are against an FCS team, and then you got Oregon State and Washington State, who
And Boise played
are
nobody.
both under 500, and
Yeah, good
haven't
point.
played any good teams. I mean, why are they in there over? Why are they in there over ASU? And then why is Georgia in there over ASU after getting absolutely blown out of the water and embarrassed by Ole Miss on Saturday?
And what do you guys feel about Ole Miss up there at 2-2?
I feel like they're the best 2-2 country, 2-2 team in the country.
They are
no
the best
doubt.
2-2 country, and I think they could be 3-1, but 16 is a major reach for a 2-2 team that's early in the season.
Well, they by far have had the toughest schedule I've
two
ever
losses.
seen.
Yeah,
The two
Ole
losses
Miss
are-
and USC have the two toughest first 4 games in the country, without a doubt.
I mean, they lost to Bama on the road at Bama, and then they lost to Florida State. I mean,
That Bama game, I believe they should have won.
Maybe they
believe
should have
should've
won, but even still, you're asking them to beat the number 1 team in
And
the country. And
Well, they've
There's-
competed in every game they've played.
And there's
that's why I
sucking
think-
losses against Florida State where they blew the famous lead in the first week.
Talking about should have won, I'm not going to bring this up right now. I'm just going to sort of preview it for later in this episode, but LSU?
Oh, yeah, they are.
I mean, we'll talk about that later. We're not going to get into it now, but we're going to talk about Les Miles in a little bit, obviously. But do you think that we'll talk about the game, not Les Miles right now.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that play should have been awarded?
Not even close.
Do you think yes or no? Not even
No, it
close.
should not have.
No?
It
Okay.
should not have been. No.
Just to
Why?
clarify.
It was. We're talking about the Auburn game.
Yeah.
It was. Yeah, the time had gone to 0, and then he released the ball.
Yeah.
They got it right. The officials got it right for once, thank God. And then
That's a first,
that's the
especially
game.
being Arizona State fans. My goodness. But you're right. That was because I didn't watch it initially. Then I watched it the next day, and they made the right call because
they definitely made the right call. And
Well, could you imagine what scrutiny they would have been in if they had not made the right call, especially after seeing that just travesty that happened in the CMU Oklahoma State game a few weeks ago?
yeah.
That was
And
unbelievable.
even last year, there were so many blown calls, and it's good that they see that they're finally making steps forward to make the right calls this year.
We won't discuss the Pac-12 officiating, Cruz,
Yeah.
because
that's
that
a
is
show in its own.
yes, that should be on E. And they should
Yeah,
have
Comedy
their own.
Central.
Yeah, Comedy Central. I like that. Or Adult Swim. They should put it on. It's just
Like if you're looking
terrible.
for a late night comedy, turn on Pac-12
Pac-12.
After Dark,
Pac-12.
Pac-12 Network, coming to a station near you, because the calls that are made in those games are like it doesn't matter who you're rooting for, you will get comedy out of both of them.
Well, because
we
even
need to make
more,
a separate Harris highlights channel
Just
just for the referees.
Pac-12.
for
Harris
Pac-12
highlights
referees.
the best of the blown calls. No, that's my next highlight video.
only Pac-12 though.
Pac-12 officiating, blown calls,
That's the only
official
thing we
highlights. Like, it's straight up bad. But, I mean, aside from everything we've mentioned, shout out to Louisville at number 3. Before these rankings came out, I made my own top 4, and I had Louisville at 3 because I think they rightfully deserve to be number 3. We'll see how that comes against Clemson this week, whether they truly are deserving of the number 3 seed. But early on this season, when these rankings obviously mean nothing, I think it's good to see Louisville at 3, especially for the college football world, to have a team like Louisville. And Houston at 6 as well. I think that's a
I
very
love
See, I have a
good name.
problem with Houston at
I
6.
love
because,
Houston. How
look,
dare you, Lyle?
Oh, yeah, this should
I
be
They
good.
love
had a-
Houston.
They had a
I
great,
love Greg
look, they
Ward.
had a great Week 1 win against Oklahoma. Greg Ward is a phenomenal quarterback. I don't
That
wanna
was a
take
good
any-
game.
I don't want to take any of that away.
Pick
You-
6.
That's what. But
Did I not
hey,
call that?
You did. Okay, so Blake calls this as the ball is being.
I said he's
or
gonna Chris
kicked.
Davis this
He's
right
like
now.
he's gonna Chris Davis this, and he does, and I'm just standing there going, how I don't understand. Anyways, Lyle, I'm sorry.
Gift.
You're good. No,
It's
but back
Blake's
to what I was
fault.
saying about Houston. That win more than deserved to put them in the top 15, but I just think 6 is too high. You look down their schedule, they play Lamar, Cincy, Texas State, and then they play UConn, Navy, Tulsa, SMU in the upcoming weeks. I mean, I just don't think those games and those wins are enough to put them in the top
I mean, they're
10.
they're definitely living off their
yeah.
last season with.
Of course.
a
But then
great
this is going to
record
be
and-
another topic later on the show if Houston wins out, if they're worthy enough of the Final Four
Well, they,
spot.
do,
mean,
they
I
do have a matchup with Louisville looming over their heads later this year.
Yeah.
Am I correct?
And that'll,
Yeah,
be,
that's
and that'll
true.
be the real test. If they can beat Louisville, I think they're
That game is
they're
already
deserving,
circled
but-
on my calendar, by the way.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's going to be a hell of a game.
You and me both.
I have a question for you guys on the topic of Louisville.
And I have the answer.
Do you though? I mean,
$5 you don't.
Yeah,
Is Lamar-
I'm a,
alright.
I'm a college student.
double college student. You have no
Yeah.
money.
We're not
None of us
taking
do.
bets here.
No, we're not. We're not allowed to do
Is
that.
that a bet?
All right, 2-part question. 1, is Lamar Jackson the real deal?
Yes.
And part 2, will he turn out like Leonard Fournette last year?
That's my, no. That
Like
was
fizzling in the big game, or
My, that was
Being a spark, the hot commodity through the first 6-7 games, and then magic trick, he's gone.
I had the exact same thought.
With-
thought. Yeah, last year with Fournette, was inhuman the first 4 weeks. Plays Alabama, brought back down to earth, falls off the earth second half of the year. In that game, Henry really, the spotlight really got brought on him. He picked it up second half of the year, ran away, then he ran away with the Heisman, as opposed to Fournette, who totally fell off the earth. And that's what I wonder about Lamar Jackson. Just he's had 4 unbelievable weeks, but. Can he keep it up down the road? His real test is going to be this Saturday against Clemson.
that is going to be a good
gonna be a
game.
good game.
In Death Valley.
That is going to be the
On the
game of the
road.
year.
At night.
College game day.
Yeah.
I mean, if he can show up on that stage and perform, I have faith in him. I'll believe
Now,
in him.
I'm gonna alter this just a little bit, but I have a question for you guys. Now, it seemed like last year when Fournette kind of fell off the map, you saw a lot more of Derrick Henry and you saw a lot more of Christian McCaffrey at Stanford, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say
Okay.
so.
So, with seeing Christian McCaffrey at Stanford, everyone was like, oh my goodness, number 5 can run the ball. He can catch the ball. He can return kicks. He can probably throw passes. He can probably kick field goals.
He can do a lot.
He can probably hit a home run in baseball. Whatever. It doesn't matter. Everyone sees this kid, and they're thinking, wow, he's a sophomore at Stanford. Where all of the Pac-12 fans were saying, yeah, like we know. So Christian McCaffrey was still evident in the first half of the season for Pac-12 fans.
Yeah.
I was at USC Stanford last year. I knew who Christian McCaffrey was week 3.
We've talked about this a lot. Does the timing of the games affect the player's chance of winning the Heisman?
That was my question to you guys. Is there still, maybe bias isn't the right word, but is there an East Coast bias in sports, primarily college football?
I think
I'm going to
undoubtedly.
say for the average fan and a lot for the popularity vote with Stanford and California and Pacific time, not a lot of people are going to stay up until 11 o'clock at night to watch the
I'll be
ending
honest,
of a
I live in
Stanford
Cali.
game.
I never stay up to watch. Hell, even when USC's on, if it's the fourth quarter, it's 11 p.m. Unless it's like a close game, I'm not watching it.
I just think
And even for the average game fan, not a lot of people are going to stay up and watch those games. Meanwhile, in the East Coast,
Yeah.
their night games for us is at 7.
Yeah. Well, that's why I think we're blessed being on the West
Pacific,
Coast.
yeah.
For my example is, I know some of you guys are from Spencer.
I'm
and-
from the
and
Midwest,
Brady are
yeah.
both
Yeah.
from the Midwest, both Chicago and Indiana.
Lamar Jackson was the topic, and I think it was Brady that mentioned, is it like too early in the year to have like, what was it, statement games or statement plays? I think it is too early, but I think if Lamar Jackson gets it done against Clemson, it's his Heisman to lose.
Yeah,
Because
I could agree with
think
that.
so.
I agree. If you look at Louisville's schedule, I don't see them losing after Clemson at all. I mean, Florida State maybe, but
They have Houston.
wait, no, they beat Florida State. What am I talking
They
about?
have
they'll,
Houston
play,
State.
they'll play Houston at the end
They
of the
put
year.
60
Wait a minute,
points on the
boys.
board against
If you-
Florida
if
State.
I need my coffee.
If Houston keeps it up,
Brady has coffee.
the game
I
at the
drink
end with
coffee, but thank
Houston.
you.
It's decaf.
Oh my gosh.
But no, honestly, I think if they can get past Clemson, there's no stopping Louisville, and there's no stopping Lamar Jackson.
Because, like you said, they don't play a lot of people. At the end of the season, or 1 or 2 games last, they play Houston. And if Houston keeps up what they're doing now, for the Louisville-Houston game, that's going to be a really good game.
I told you it's already circled on my calendar.
You-
Because that's when after week 1, we saw Ward at Houston, their quarterback.
Playing Oklahoma.
Yes,
and
playing Oklahoma and
playing
having an incredible
beautiful
game.
football.
Yes, absolutely incredible football. And then you see Lamar Jackson the same day, and you're thinking, okay. And then you see Lamar Jackson the next week, and you're
the same
thinking,
thing.
okay. And you just see him week after week. And at this point, yes, it is early to give the Heisman to someone, but I agree with Blake. At this point in the season, with his schedule and with those late season games looming over his head, it is his Heisman Trophy to lose at this point.
Especially with
It's
the
after
numbers
he
that he's
plays
getting.
Clemson.
Yeah.
Of course, the
Especially
media
with the numbers.
blows everything up. The numbers, the media, the publicity. I thought you said publicity. I apologize.
No, I meant
But the
numbers, but
numbers.
yeah,
he's
even with the
but yeah,
publicity,
but
too.
the publicity is the same way because he's just going to get blown up, and now everyone knows who he is.
Yeah. He's in Sports Illustrated. First one from Louisville to ever do that. He's just blown out of the water, and all rights to him.
And everyone thought Teddy Bridgewater was good, and he was, but he's not Lamar Jackson.
No.
I can say
definitely-
that
I can
after 4
agree with
games.
that. I can agree
I can
with
say that
that.
after 4
Yes.
games.
I just think it's a big if. You
I
guys
could-
are.
by the
you
way,
guys
we're sorry to do that loud. Josh, I could have said that after 1.
Okay. It's
Yeah.
true.
It's true. Go ahead.
No, I just think it's a big if because you guys keep talking about the Heisman's his if he beats Clemson. That's no small.
That's not an
feat.
easy path,
I mean,
yeah.
Well, it's his
Of
to
course.
lose. It's not necessarily his. It's his to lose.
Fair enough. I can't wait for that matchup. Deshaun Watson versus Lamar Jackson. It doesn't get much better than that. Arguably the top 2 quarterbacks in the country.
Although last week Christian McCaffrey did struggle a little bit, but my preseason Heisman winner was Christian McCaffrey.
He's still had
Christian
over 100
McCaffrey
yards in
struggled
every game.
against who?
It doesn't matter who he struggled
It was
against.
UCLA. I'm a UCLA fan, folks. So just
Yeah,
so you know.
we apologize.
We apologize for all of the non-UCLA fans.
I can't
that we
wait
have
for
to
the
deal with
UCLA
on the
USC
air.
game.
Since we're on the topic of Heisman, I kind of want to. Obviously it's a long season, so there have to be other potential candidates.
Sam Darnold.
Now,
Go home, Josh. You're drunk.
I'm sorry.
No.
I'm sorry.
Josh
I
Rosen.
know. Okay, so Lamar Jackson is the favorite.
Yeah.
But let's be real. It's a long season, and there are other competitors. Now, there is one guy that has caught my attention. He is actually a member of the Pac-12, and he's not who you're thinking about. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm talking about kicker Zane Gonzalez.
Yes.
Zane Gonzalez
of
for Heisman.
Arizona
I
State.
started this campaign for the record. Zane Gonzalez for Heisman. If he doesn't win the Heisman, he is winning the Groza.
In all
Hashtag
seriousness,
Gonzalez for
folks,
Heisman.
Zane Gonzalez.
Why not
I know
both, Josh?
Zane Gonzalez is the best kicker in the country, and of course he's not going to get the recognition he deserves. But I saw some tweets today where there's been, I think, 7 field goals of 50-plus yards this year in college football, and he has 4 of them. So he is leading the way.
Hey,
But
I was for Burrow Aguayo, in with Zane.
But the Zane Gonzalez against UTSA, he kicked, what was it, a 54-yard field goal. That set his career high. His next field goal attempt was 54 yards, and I heard something about like 1 foot. He broke his own record within a 5-minute span.
Then he missed a 51-yarder.
Then he missed a 51-yarder, and then later he hit a 27 that went off the upright and then in. So a little bit scary, but he broke his own record again. And
he did the same thing in the Cal game this past weekend.
Yes,
he hit a field goal off the crossbar.
Dude,
we were all just like, what just happened?
My heart sunk when that happened. But
it was funny.
It's great. But no, and honestly, back to the Heisman. I do have my top 5 here. You guys are more than welcome to chime in.
We're unorganized.
At number
We're
5.
so unorganized. Hey, this is episode number 1. Who cares?
Okay, so I mean, it's only 4 weeks in, so these rankings mean anything. At number 5, I have Christian McCaffrey, and this is why.
5?
Because I feel like not only is he overhyped. Well, I mean, I don't think he's overhyped. I don't think he's lived up to the hype.
I can agree with
because
that. I can say
his
that,
stats. He has 3 rushing touchdowns.
Right.
He only has about 400 rushing yards. Granted, it's 3 games.
Yeah.
But with the hype he's been getting, I think he deserves more.
I
touched
agree.
on him. We touched
I
on
do
him a lot
agree with
earlier.
that, though.
Oh, thank you, Spencer.
Yes, of course.
Great defense by UCLA, by the way.
You
Hell of a
already
game.
know.
Thank you.
We should have won that.
Hell of a
but,
game.
At number 4, we talked about him pretty much already. Greg Ward Jr.
Okay.
Greg Ward goes as far as Houston goes. If Houston loses a game or 2, Greg Ward falls out. If they remain undefeated, he's gonna ride that into the Heisman talks because undefeated team quarterback. Yeah. You can't see it, but Brady and Josh over here just pretending like they're riding a horse, and it's true. But like
the same thing with Lamar Jackson.
Same with Lamar Jackson. But I feel like the second Houston goes down,
Greg Ward
goes down.
Yes.
So that's as long as it goes. This is a guy who I feel like has not been talked as much as he should about.
Zane Gonzalez.
Kalen Balash. Brady White.
I'm not talking about the GOATs, guys, but I am talking about JT Barrett.
Okay.
Because Ohio State, once again, in all of their games, they've been dominant. Like they have dominated. JT Barrett.
Can we just take a second and appreciate ex Ohio State wide receiver Terrell Pryor? What he did this past weekend for the Browns?
Yeah, he got 20.
He played quarterback, he played wide receiver, and he played safety.
And he had 27 fantasy points, and he was on my bench.
Oh.
If I would
Ouch.
And it's hurtful because Brady is who I went up against, and if I would have started him, I would have beat him, but I didn't.
Well, Brady convinced me to get Andrew Luck, and Andrew Luck was predicted to get me over 20 points this weekend. For the 4th week in a row, he got me 13.
Yeah, and T.Y. Hill then screwed me over again.
So
but
you said
fantasy,
that 2 was JT Barrett. You said 2 was JT Barrett.
3 is JT Barrett.
3 was JT
650 passing yards, 10 touchdowns, 159 rushing yards, and 3 rushing touchdowns. So 13 total touchdowns in 4 games.
Those are good numbers.
Like if it wasn't for Lamar Jackson, this guy would be, I think, leading the Heisman race. But if you want another, this is my number 2, who I feel is the most underrated player in college football. I made a highlight video for him his sophomore year because I thought he was deserving of it. I'm going to butcher his name, I think. Donnell Pumphrey. Or Donnell Pumphrey.
Am
I saying that right? No, the running back for San Diego State.
Shoot.
Oh, okay. I know who we're talking about. I got you.
They play Cal, but we've seen what their defense can't do.
We have seen
San Diego State. Yeah.
SCSU.
Yeah.
So I mean,
we talked about earlier that SCSU shouldn't even be ranked.
Yeah, but still 600 yards rushing, and I think what's it say here? 3 games. So I mean, he's averaging 200 yards a game. Regardless if you're playing Cal Poly San Luis Obispo, 200 yards a game is impressive.
Hey, don't hate on Cal Poly San Luis Obispo. I'm calling a game for them on the radio.
Hey, my mom went there. Shout out to Mrs. Harris. It's a great school. And then of
Mrs.
course
Highlights.
Mrs. Harris highlights, of course. She doesn't even know what I'm doing.
So I'm taking a guess your number 1 is Jabril Peppers.
No, number 1 is Jabril Peppers. I know you're high on Jabril Peppers.
He's in my Heisman watch.
What about J.U. Chesson?
He's in my Heisman watch.
Defensive player's not winning.
He's
Juju
Smith-Schuster, no, because for some reason USC hasn't been calling the right plays or throwing the ball to him.
But yes, it's obviously Lamar Jackson for your number 1.
Number 1. But here's the question: is you were talking about defensive player. Would you rather have Jabril Peppers on your team or Myles Garrett?
Taking Jabril. I love Jabril.
I love because Myles Garrett's a
as great
stud.
as Myles Garrett is, a great
who might be the
pass
number
rusher.
1 pick next year.
Jabril does everything.
Jabril does everything.
his kick returns, he's running the ball. He's an athlete.
Jabril,
You can't put him in a single
Jabril
position. He's an
Peppers-
Put him in a position, he's going to go out there and perform.
For West Coast fans who don't understand who he is Adoree Jackson, but bigger and
a little better.
playing.
I'll be honest.
I don't know. I don't think better, but playing better currently.
Yeah.
I think he's definitely better than Adoree Jackson.
I don't think so.
We'll see how it is in the long run, but I mean, aside from my picks, who do you guys have as potential Heisman candidates or sleeper candidates?
I think almost everyone in the country right now has the same number one.
Yeah, I think
pretty
that's
much
without a doubt.
With Lamar.
But like, who can you guys see?
We
stealing the
just
thunder?
said it. Peppers could be up there in that top five.
Peppers.
And here's another one that hasn't been mentioned once: Deshaun Watson, who was the pronounced favorite by a long shot coming into the season.
Yeah, by a lot.
I mean, some people have him like number 5 or 6, but.
And it's not that he hasn't been playing terrible. It's just that there have been so many people who have been shining,
Yeah.
while he has not been.
Clemson's had some very close games against some bad teams.
They have.
Troy.
Troy.
So
I'll
if
say
Deshaun
Troy.
Watson's not, out there torching Troy, he's
still
not going to get
love-
talked about for the Heisman. It's that simple.
I still love Dalvin Cook.
Dalvin.
I
Yeah,
love
another
Dalvin
one we
Cook.
didn't mention.
I love Dalvin Cook.
Because Florida State is, they got the loss, but they're only what 12
12.
right now, so it's still early where they can make a good run.
What's your guys' thought on the pride of Rocky Top, Joshua Dobbs? 10 touchdowns this year, 805 yards.
Really?
Let's hand this over to Spencer.
All right, so as everyone at the table knows, I hate Tennessee. Just hate Rocky Top. As much as I don't want to admit it,
It's a great fight song.
You know it is, and that's been playing in the dorms all
you
week
guys
long.
can't stop playing it. But he played phenomenal against Florida. Absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah,
He broke like 2 of his own career records within that game. I mean, this dude is the main reason why Tennessee is ranked 11th right now.
They were also rocking some of the sickest uniforms I've ever
The
seen.
black and orange ones.
I feel like for the next show we need to come in with like the best uniforms of the week and like rank those because
Arizona State.
No.
number 1.
Are we
we
ranking?
need to get the guy that runs the Uniswag on here.
If we do that, let's sidestep for a second from the main topic.
Really? We're not able to stay on one topic for more than 5 minutes?
We should
But
at
I
least
do
step
love
away
Josh
once.
Dobbs in Heisman contention. I'm not going to say top 5, top
sidestep
10.
my
Consider
sidestep.
early.
But
I did sidestep your sidestep. Look at that inception.
I like that
right
pick,
there.
though.
So if we do that uniform thing, are we doing alternate uniforms or just in general?
just whatever that weekend was.
I
Save it for next week, Josh.
Okay, sorry, I just want to make sure.
But no, I mean, I like your Josh Dobbs pick. But here's one.
But so real quick, staying on the Josh Dobbs thing, you look at their next 3 games. At Georgia, who's ranked 25.
Ooh, yeah, that's gonna be a good game.
That's a loss.
At College Station, Aggie Land.
That's a loss.
At number 9. And then home against Alabama.
And that's a
3
loss.
games in a row. He could slip and be done.
That's 3 straight losses.
That's
for
gonna
Tennessee.
make or break him. Either the
Really?
risk.
You're picking Tennessee's going to lose to Georgia.
I'm taking Tennessee losing to Georgia, A&M, and Alabama, and I almost went to Tennessee.
Volunteers have not won at Georgia since 06.
Wow.
Well, I'm a big fan of I wouldn't say I'm a fan of Tennessee. I'm a fan of watching Tennessee. I'm a fan of the fight song. I'm a fan of the uniforms because they're just classic and plain and simple. I like watching Tennessee football. I'm not big on watching SEC football. I'm a Pac-12. I'm a Big Ten guy. Yeah. But if there's one team in the SEC who I will root for and stand by and watch just over and over again every week, it'll be the Tennessee Volunteers. However, I don't see them winning these.
I don't like Tennessee, man.
I don't like you.
We can't agree on a lot of things.
No,
can
we don't.
No, we don't.
That's what makes this show here at Harris Highlights so diverse.
But you guys get along
And
half the time.
I'm going to
As much
say
as
no.
I'd like
Most of the time.
No comment.
Oh, well,
as much as
thank
I,
you.
It's been a while since we've heard from Lyle. Lyle?
That's all right. As much as I'd love to pick Notre Dame quarterback Deshaun Kaiser, he might
Hey Lyle, the door's right there. You may go out right now.
my real sleeper, Josh mentioned Texas A&M, is transfer Trevor Knight.
Ooh,
Yeah,
Transfer
okay.
from
Nice.
Oklahoma. He's got 8 total touchdowns so far. They're
Good
A&M's
pick.
4-0 on the year. They beat UCLA.
They came into the season unrated. Now they're at what, number
Top
9?
9.
That's
Number 9 beat
They
a
jumped a
good
lot.
UCLA team, beat a very quality Arkansas team. I think he hasn't been talked about enough at all.
That's a very good pick.
I'm
Honestly,
going to agree.
I like, yeah, okay.
Well,
I could
Texas
agree with
can't-
that.
I see you got
Texas
Texas A&M's schedule up right now. Who do they got in their next 3 games?
So they got South Carolina,
Win.
big matchup against Tennessee, and a big matchup against Alabama. So I think just like
Ooh.
Lamar Jackson, this is where Trevor Knight's going to get tested. If he can beat these guys, he will absolutely be on the stage.
I'm
for
gonna-
the
They
Heisman.
need
If
to
not,
go
he's
at
gonna
least
fall off.
2-1 in those games, though. In those next 3, they need to get at
Yeah.
least 2 wins.
I
I'm going to
agree.
agree because I don't think Texas A&M is going to hang with Alabama. But even with how Trevor Knight plays against Alabama, he will then put his name in the contention race if he plays well against Alabama.
agree.
I'm just realizing that we got on Lyle for suggesting Deshaun Kaiser, but we all totally agreed on Zane Gonzalez.
That's because Zane Gonzalez is the GOAT.
Because
Yeah.
that's because Zane Gonzalez is the best at his position in all of college football.
Agreed. Heisman, Zane Gonzalez.
may or may not be
Like, no, in all seriousness, though, if he does
Make
keep this
Gonzalez
up,
great
if
again.
he's nailing 50-yard field goal pluses with ease, I mean, obviously he's not going to get to New York, but I would not be surprised if he got a vote from someone.
Yeah, get it from me.
It's going to be me.
Make that 2 votes. Make that 3 votes. Make
That's
that 5
votes right here.
I'm voting for Rosen.
Oh, dude, you'll be the only one. The only one.
Josh Rosen, UCLA.
Josh Rosen. Okay, you want to go talk Pac-12 now? We can talk Pac-12.
I love to talk about Les Miles for that.
You raised up a good point.
Good, because I'm going to
Also,
shut that into a Pac-12 conversation. You know I will.
You and your side.
This is actually a goodies because we can go from Heisman right into Les Miles because I was going to bring up Leonard Fournette. Is his season just done where he's done with the Heisman, or can he just put up monster numbers?
I think he's done.
I think it was those first 2 games that killed him.
Really?
He didn't play in the second game. He isn't able to put up as much numbers as everyone else is, as all the other potential candidates are. He got hurt in the first game. He's not as strong, as superhuman-esque looking this year as he was last year, and I think that's really big for him. He was running over everybody. Granted, he had an incredible stiff arm where he grabbed a guy by a helmet and just threw him
did you see
to
that
the
one?
ground.
The one earlier this year, right, against Mississippi State? Oh, that was nasty.
But he's not destroying defenses and obliterating defenders like he was last year.
So you gotta remember he's injured.
He's not going to stop producing. He's just not going to be in Heisman
He's just
contention.
not at the same level as he was.
I'm just not ready to rule him out. I think if he picks it up in these next couple of games, he can get right back on the map. If he, goes
Of
back.
course, yeah.
Well, see, that's the good thing about LSU because, I mean, like, if you can just get their schedule up really quick, they can easily get back in it if they can just win out. Now, I'm sure they're going to have 1 or 2 more losses, but with the way that SEC is, if you're 2-2, there's still hope. Like, there is still hope. But
So let's go.
speaking of LSU,
let's go into Les Miles.
there was a coaching change made this week. Les Miles was
let go by the LSU Tigers.
Agree or disagree, Lyle?
It's so hard to say. I mean, LSU's not having a great year. We know Fournette's not having a great year. I think LSU's looking for a coaching change. I think they want to bring in somebody new, somebody who maybe they can change the scheme a little bit. But you can't take anything away from what Les Miles has done over the last 12 years. He's top 5 in the SEC every single year. I mean, produces all these great teams, a couple national championships. I mean, as hard as it is to let him go, I think LSU just wants to see a new change.
I'm going to say right now that this was the right call. Automatically,
Really?
This was the right call.
I disagree.
Because even last year they were debating on letting him go or not, and they kept him to say, "You've brought so much to our program. We're going to hold on to you for a couple more games."
And the players carried him off the field.
Yeah.
They
on their
carried
last year.
shoulders.
Yeah.
that was great.
His job came down to 1 second. Literally 1 second.
And I disagree with that.
And I disagree as well.
I agree with you that it came down to 1 second. I disagree with the final decision. However, I think Ed Orgeron deserves another shot at being a head coach.
Oh, yes,
I think
he does.
You never get to really
Blake and
start being
I,
a head coach. You get
USC.
Blake and I are both from LA. We both think that he could have. Did I at the time think he was the guy?
No.
No chance in the world.
Well, that's because we were expecting them to get someone with an A-list name.
big, and that's why I think the time has come for USC to go outside, which is why I think at the end of this year, the right choice is to go for Les Miles. Clay Helton is not the guy. SC needs to realize, step outside of the University of Southern California and get an outside source.
Would you consider doing it in the middle of the season?
No,
No,
not
no.
because you don't have anyone else on that team that can be an interim except for maybe the defensive coordinator Clancy Pendergast. But when you're interim
What a
head coach,
name.
Clancy,
It's
what
a
was it?
great
Clancy
name.
Pendergast.
Clancy Pendergast. They let him go in
This is like
2013.
a supervillain.
Yes, in
Oh
2013.
no, it's Clancy Pendergast.
In 2013, believe it or not, SC had a pretty good defense. And then all of a sudden they're like, bye. And then he was
Bye,
gone.
Felicia.
And then they bring in the defensive coordinator. His name was Wilcox. And he was one of the worst defensive coordinators I think I've ever seen in my entire life. And it was bad. It was just really bad. It was just, SC continues to get these great athletes, but trying to stay away from SC, I don't think they need to get a coaching change get a new coach in the middle of the year because I don't think they have an interim. But when the time comes, I think they need to go for Les Miles, but I don't think they will. So if Les Miles does not go to the University of Southern California, where is his next coaching job going to be?
Well, I just want to get back really quick on the subject of Les Miles. I think it was the wrong decision, and here's why. Brady mentioned how he was 1 second away from being 3-1. And what you have to remember is they're opening, they were national championship, I don't want to say favorites, but they were one of the favorites to win it all this year. Their first week, they lose to Wisconsin, who's ranked 8th. And that defense is nasty.
Yeah.
That defense is scary. We'll get to some picks later. I could see Wisconsin being a threat this year in college football. And it's not like LSU got blown out that game. They lost on an interception with 30 seconds left, which was a total cheap shot by LSU. But LSU could have had that game.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to really give them anything for that loss. But they're 1 second away from being 3-1 in a tough conference with a tough schedule they've had to play with, who do they got coming up? They got Missouri, which is going to be an easy win. At Florida, which I think they could put a good fight against Florida. Southern Miss, and then Ole Miss. They can easily win those next 4 games, and then they get Bama.
You think they just
can't
roll
say
over
that.
Ole Miss? Just
I
like
can't
that?
say that.
I don't think they roll over them,
but Ed
Orgeron can lead them to victory.
But even if
I
Les
think
Miles
so. I
are,
think
so they could have been 6-1. But Les Miles, what he's done with that team, they lost Auburn. It's not like they lost to Jacksonville State. They lost to Auburn at Auburn, which is a very tough place to get a win.
Yes.
So I
One of the
feel,
most
Do
hostile
you think if they were
environments in all of college
3-1,
football.
that Les Miles would still have a job right now?
Oh yeah, without a doubt, he'd still have a job. He'd be on the hot block. And like I said, they play Missouri. If they were to lose to Missouri, then maybe lose to Southern Miss, maybe. But they lost to Auburn, and they're only 2-2. They're not like 1-3 like USC. I think it was a terrible decision. I love Coach O. I'm still years later heartbroken that they didn't bring him back.
Yeah.
I'm still hoping one day maybe he'll come back to SC, but I think it was a terrible decision on LSU's part.
Over these last few years, as great of a coach as Les Miles is, I don't know about you guys, but I've started to expect LSU to lose between 2 to 4 games every year because as much talent as they always
agree with you
have.
on
When was the last
they never-
national
they-
championship? It was 2000.
I think it was when they played Bama in
2007.
Yeah.
Oh, the last one they won. Yeah.
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 And they've been favorites every year, but they never go anywhere.
I always expect LSU. They're going to be a solid team. They're going to win some big games, but they're going to lose some games that
Agreed.
that they should be winning. And every year it seems to happen with Les Miles. They get all this talent in, and they go 8-4, 9-3. They don't ever seem to get over that hill and get into the college football playoff, have that 11-1 season.
And that's why he was let go.
Exactly why he was let go.
As much as an historic program LSU is, and as much as a good record and a good talent that they have, Les Miles continues to be average compared with the Tigers.
Yeah.
With 9-3 and an 8-4 record, to me, that's not good enough when you have a talent such as the LSU Tigers have. And this change was coming, and it happened. And
They did it in the most, I try to relate this, in the most San Antonio Spurs way possible. In the middle of NFL football, in the middle of a Sunday. No one was expecting it really that day. It sort of blew over and it was taken over by the NFL that day. The NFL owns Sundays. That's a great time to do it if they didn't want a whole media uproar, which
True.
they didn't get.
They bought a day of the week.
Damn near.
magic of football.
So I'm going to circle back to what Josh was talking about a minute ago, was where do you see Les Miles ending up now? He's either going to end up Big 12, I'm sorry, not Big 12, Big 10, Pac-12. Nowhere else.
What about Notre Dame?
I was about to say, I think he could absolutely end up at Notre Dame. And just from being a Notre Dame fan, I can say, as great of a coach as Brian Kelly's been, he's let him do a bowl game in each of his first 6 seasons.
He's on the chopping block.
You got to look at some of this off the field stuff. Notre Dame has had so many suspended players over the last few years, and frankly, they seem to me like they've got to be at least somewhat his fault, because you see a couple happen, you think, okay, I know I'm going to fix this, I'm going to keep my team under control, and he just hasn't. Notre Dame's best safety, Max Redfield, lost for the year. Sure, he made a dumb decision, but how did Brian Kelly not keep him under control? How did he not keep some of his other players under control? You see suspensions at every school, but nowhere to the amount that you see at Notre Dame. And I think that's going to, not serve him well in the long run. That's why I think that could be a potential job opening for Les Miles, but we'll have to see.
Notre Dame is, if not one of the most elite programs in college
Without
football
a doubt.
history.
On a
Without
consistent
doubt.
basis.
There are about 6 white-collar teams. And when you are Notre Dame, when you're Alabama, when you're USC, Ohio State, Michigan, and you can throw in whoever else you want.
You can throw Texas in there.
You can throw Texas onto that list. Whoever those top 6 white-collar programs are, throw in whatever teams you want. You expect the best.
You're forgetting one team, and that is the Indiana Hoosiers.
Oh, yes.
Brady's over there rocking his Hoosier shirt. I just want to throw them some love.
Okay.
Or under the bus, whichever one. I don't care.
Hey, bro, When we're talking about dark horses for the college football playoff,
Hey,
just you wait for Indiana.
you
They're coming.
never know.
They're coming.
Please.
They took Michigan to triple overtime last year. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, have fun with that. Anyway, so
I do.
when you are one of those white-collar teams, you expect the best. And although Notre Dame has had their success, they're not living up to their own standards. And the point is neither is USC, neither are a lot of these other teams that are in those white-collar elite teams. But the thing with Notre Dame is, although Notre Dame has been successful, they're not meeting their own standards. So my thing was and it happens a lot, say, in the National Hockey League, where you can be the number one team in the regular season every year, but if you don't produce in the playoffs, you're on the hot seat if you're the head coach. And I think that that's the way it is with Brian Kelly, because you can produce as much as you want, but if you can't produce in bowl season, if you can't produce in postseason play, if you can't get into the playoff, and that is your goal every year, it's an iffy situation.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, you just saw Notre Dame's defensive coordinator Brian Van Gorder get fired, and that's why I think Kelly could be next. I mean, even last year Notre Dame went 10-2, had a great year, was just a Stanford field goal away from the college football playoff. But when you really look into it, their defense was terrible. Like, they couldn't stop anybody. As great of an offense as they had with Will Fuller and Deshaun Kaiser and everybody else, they couldn't stop anybody on defense. And then this year it's just carried over, except with not as great of an offense and even, more let down defense. And I think that's why Van Gorder got the boot, and I think we might see Kelly next.
All right. Well, now this is going to be the fun part of the show, guys. So earlier I put on...
It's been fun the whole time, Blake.
Oh, stop. But earlier I put on Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, asking for people to submit questions for us to talk about. So let's just try to maybe keep it like 20, 30 seconds each question and do a rapid fire with each one.
Let's roll.
This is going to turn into a presidential debate.
Oh, I know.
We're going to
30 seconds each. We each get 19 minutes to answer a question.
All right, now here's one on Twitter. Now this is a good one because we just saw him play in person. Do you think Chad Hansen is a legitimate Heisman candidate and possibly the best wide receiver in the nation? Obviously, not this series, the Heisman candidate, but let's just go in the future. But the second part of the question.
Okay.
Is he the best wide receiver in the nation?
Let me take number one. Like you said, no, he's not in the Heisman contention this year. In the future, it's a possibility. Maybe not Heisman, Biletnikoff, of course. It depends if he has a quarterback. It depends the other receivers around him. And when I think you look at the Pac-12, right now he's playing like it, but I still strongly believe he is not the best talent-wise receiver in the Pac-12. But yes, I think
he's only a freshman, so
yes, he is a freshman and he will get better. But as of right now, no, he's not the best in the Pac-12. But yes, in the future, he will compete for a Biletnikoff.
You hit the nail on the head. That's all I'm going to say. I really don't have any more to add. You hit the nail on the head, Josh.
Damn, that was... I mean, the mic's right here. I would drop it right now because that was a...
Please don't.
Now here's a very good one, and this is from our good friend Brady, the other Brady.
Brady Vernon.
He asked...
Shout out to Brady Vernon Room. Never mind, it doesn't matter.
I don't even... Now, the one with the banana on the board.
I'm still trying to figure this one out. If you had to start your team around one player in college football, who would you go with?
Oh, boy.
Any player.
Jabril Peppers.
That is a great question.
Right now, I would say Jabril Peppers because he is your Mr. Do-It-All player. He can run. He can probably pass. He can tackle. He can do absolutely anything. I think he can do more than Christian McCaffrey.
I think
he might not do it at a higher level, but he can do more than McCaffrey.
I think it's a toss-up for me between Peppers and McCaffrey because McCaffrey does it all on the offensive side of the ball. Peppers does it all on the defensive side of the ball. So depending on what your team needs more, I think it's a toss-up between those two. Can't really go wrong with either.
Now, what I was going to say was, I too was thinking between McCaffrey and Jabril Peppers. However, once Jabril Peppers was met up and you talked about the defensive side of the ball, obviously I've said this earlier, and he's not playing like it right now, but I still strongly believe that Adoree Jackson is one of the best players in college football because he gets that both sides of the ball. He's a huge factor for USC. He's the reason they were in that Utah game. I think he's a lot like Jabril Peppers. Of course, right now I think Jabril Peppers, there's a reason he's in the Heisman contention and why a lot of people are not talking about Adoree Jackson. So as of right now, McCaffrey and Jabril Peppers, but honestly, do not sleep on Adoree Jackson.
Not going to lie, I'm going to go with Blake's two Heisman candidates, JT Barrett or Lamar Jackson.
Thank you, Spencer.
So you're choosing a quarterback.
Explosive offense, great arm, can run and lead your offense.
But a thing that we have to remember, and we're starting the team, Lamar Jackson is only a sophomore. So you got him for 2 years at least. McCaffrey, but I think McCaffrey stays.
Oh, he does.
Because that's the Stanford thing. I think he stays. So you could go with McCaffrey for 2 years.
That's not only the Stanford thing. You look at his whole family. Every single one of them stayed for 4 years.
So I think he stays.
At their respective colleges.
Yeah. So I would go with either Lamar Jackson or Christian McCaffrey, but those are good picks. Now let's flip to Instagram. And this is a very good question. We completely forgot about this guy too.
Who's that?
Do you think Nick Chubb can rebound from this slow start?
Boy.
First of all, this
Georgia
running
running
back
back.
class is ridiculous this year. Like, it is absolutely ridiculous.
For teams that need a running back in the NFL, keep an eye out.
Oh,
Nick
for sure.
Chubb, like,
I don't think he's back to the level where he was before his injury. He's getting there, but I think his production in the first game was a little shaky. He had a 3-yard rushing touchdown.
Yeah.
He scored his first touchdown. It was 3 yards. Whoop-de-doo.
the North Carolina game, he had a good one at the end. But other than that, it's been...
I think he's going to be the opposite of Leonard Fournette, how he is going to pick his game up, and he's
Really?
going to be back to normal form.
Well, because I'm looking at their schedule right now of who else they have to come. Tennessee this weekend, which is going to be a very tough game.
Good game.
Then we got at South Carolina versus Vanderbilt, Florida, Kentucky, Auburn, UL Lafayette, and Georgia Tech. I think he picks it up. And
The later half of that schedule is
he's
pretty easy.
That is his for the taking, definitely.
Another part of it is I don't think they're, giving him the ball as much as they did before he got hurt. I think they're relying on freshman quarterback Jake Eason a lot. I'm reading in this Missouri game he threw 55 passes. Wow. So that doesn't leave a lot.
No,
that doesn't leave a lot for Nick Chubb. So I think part of it is he's still injured. Part of it is they're going to more of a passing offense. But I think that if they utilize him more, if they give him more touches, I think he can pick it back up.
Yes, sir. All right, now we're going to go to YouTube where most of the comments came from. Now, a lot of these have to do with Lamar Jackson, Deshaun Watson, who we've already pretty much covered in regards to the game this week, which we'll get to at the very end of the show when we have our picks for the games. Mm-hmm. But here's one, and I'm actually really interested in this. Discuss the possible rising threat of Colorado and possible teams to defeat Alabama other than Texas A&M. So first off, Colorado. I think they're the real deal. Maybe not the real deal, but they're definitely more of a threat than they have been.
I think a lot of people are high on Colorado.
I think a lot of people are high on Colorado too, but I think there is a little bit. Okay, ha 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 ha. Funny.
Hold on, say
okay.
that one more time.
No. Shh. Anyways. Anyway. Colorado is a sleeper team. They will upset someone every year in the Pac-12. It's happened every year, and it's bound to happen every year.
It already
And
happened.
it won't be Arizona State this year, I'll tell you that. Right, boys?
And at Colorado, however, Arizona State usually travels pretty well, especially to Colorado. I was really surprised last time they played up there. They had a pretty big following. But that is definitely a trap game for Arizona State. However, Colorado is a team that too many people are sleeping on. Too many people are high on Colorado.
Unofficial rankings, and according to this, they'd be ranked 30th. So they're pretty much, who do they play this week, Lyle?
They play
Oregon
They
State.
play Oregon State,
So that's a win.
That should be a win for Colorado.
I think people are, giving him too much praise so far. Yes, they
Too much praise.
they just beat Oregon. Oregon's not even ranked.
Yeah, but
Oregon is a bit overrated as well.
If you can go into Autzen and win, that's still a respectable.
That is still, I think, the
still a
toughest
good
place
win.
to play in the Pac-12.
Still a good win,
Definitely.
but
Yeah, because Austin's one of those places like Rocky Top, like a Michigan, where no matter who you're playing,
You
no
got that
matter
home
who it
field
is,
advantage.
you got the home field advantage.
Despite how small it is.
Yeah.
It is a fairly small stadium.
So now we were talking about Colorado, and now here's a very hot question: who can take down Bama this year? This guy thinks Texas A&M has the
Colorado.
opportunity to. Colorado, Arizona State in the national championship.
Memphis.
Roll Tide.
Memphis.
What about Grambling State? They almost beat U of A.
So Alabama's up and coming schedule.
Yeah.
This week next week, next week they play Kentucky
Win.
at Arkansas.
Who's a good team, but they'll beat Arkansas.
not good enough to take down Bama.
At Tennessee.
I think very overrated.
That's a fun.
That-
That'll be a fun
that'll
game.
be
It'll be a fun game, but I think
to-
Tennessee's an overrated team. I don't think Bama will have any
They'll
problem with
give
Tennessee.
him a test.
Not
but
know
so
what?
fast.
I'm gonna
Not
be
so fast, my friend.
Not so fast.
Tennessee by a field goal.
I'm gonna be honest with you. As much as I hate Tennessee football, I could see them beating Alabama.
Wait, what is your problem with Tennessee?
Don't go into detail.
Okay.
Oh God.
Other than that, they don't have much in their schedule.
Yeah, the Texas A&M, that's a home game for Bama. At
And
LSU.
then who knows? At
I don't think you
LSU,
can ever count out LSU.
Guys, no,
Especially
I
at
have it.
Chattanooga.
Oh God. Here's a smart
November
ass answer.
18th against Chattanooga.
Okay.
Mark my words.
The Chattanooga Choo
The
Choo,
upset of
baby.
the century.
Okay, but
right
this
there.
is-
Biggest upset in college football
This
history
is
right
my
there.
thing with Alabama is despite the fact that they are playing like the number one team in the country, despite the fact that they put a whooping on USC week 1.
Ooh.
Shh, we won't
Did
talk
they really?
about it. No, we'll just skip over it. I just wanted to pass by. Okay, adding on to that, they had a comeback against Ole Miss. They are the number 1 team in the country for a reason. However, you look at some of the teams they're playing, they practically have a full 4 weeks off of football. They are the number 1 team in the country. They play in the SEC, but they have one of the weakest schedules out of any Power 5 team.
Yeah.
I cannot say that enough. If you look at the teams with the toughest schedule in the country, you throw in, who do we say? You throw in Ole Miss, at least for the first 4 weeks. You can throw in USC. And after that, you go right down the list for Pac-12 schools because there are so many Pac-12 schools that play big teams, and they are also evenly matched. That's why the Pac-12, in my opinion, is the toughest conference in college football. However, if you're looking at the SEC, they have their superpowers, they have their cupcakes, and Alabama plays a lot of cupcakes.
They do, and this is also a different Alabama team from past years.
Chattanooga. This next one comes from actually a good friend of mine, the next great up-and-coming highlighter in the game. I like to call it highlighter, but I mean, we need to come up with a name for that. Scott from Just Bombs Productions. He's a huge USC fan, just as myself.
They're called fanboys, Blake.
Fanboys. Oh, jeez. Please roast me. He says, with ASU undefeated and USC struggling, can you spare some of your luck for the Trojans? We need you, bro. Scott, I'm going to answer this one personally. No. We're coming for you. We're going to go 5-0, I hope. And that's going to be that. I love us Trojans, but this is our game.
And this is what I'm gonna come back into this.
Which school are you paying $40,000 to? I think you should root for them.
Yes, but now let me get back in here. I'm gonna be there. I'm flying home Friday. As I said, I'm from Los Angeles, and I meet students from Southern California here at Arizona State, and the first thing they say is, once I tell them where I'm from as well, they say, "Oh, I'm flying home for the SC game this weekend." There are going to be a lot of Arizona State fans at that game. Arizona State travels very well to Southern California. I was at the UCLA ASU game last year. Quarter of the stadium was gold. So there will
because it should be because Arizona
of course.
State is 4-0 for the first
Yes.
time in who knows how long.
And we're coming for you, Trojans.
No, okay.
So
We're
Arizona
coming.
State's playing well.
Anyways, back to my
SC
point.
is SC, so
Yes.
we got ourselves a good game going.
I'm not trying to be biased because obviously I am a student at Arizona State. I'm a Sun Devil, but watching both teams, USC is probably going to come out the victor here. I honestly believe that they are the better team. I'm not saying that's going to derail the season for Arizona State because being 4-0, if they have a good game and lose to USC, in what way is that a loss other than a 4-1?
It's the record.
It's the record.
USC's
That's-
out. It's that USC right now is 1-3, and you lose to a team that's 1-3. Oh, this and that. I think the polling committee, whoever comes up with the roster or the rankings, I think they'll see that and I think if they lose to USC, that will keep them out of the top 25.
At this point, the game, I mean, obviously it's a game that matters, but a loss means more to USC than it does to Arizona State.
Definitely.
Oh, yeah.
Because if SC loses, that's 3-0 or 0-3 in the Pac-12. That's 0-2 in the Pac-12 South. USC was 5-0 in the Pac-12 South last year and put a whooping on ASU. So if they lose this game, they're out of all contention, in my opinion. Arizona State, if they lose this game, they have the whole season ahead of them, and Arizona State's playing damn good football.
Very true, very true.
Defense has got to step it up a little, but other than that.
That's why I think SC's going to win this game. They have too many offensive weapons.
All right, so now this was supposed to be the rapid fire. Now we're going to do the rapid fire because I do want to try to get every question answered. So I'll ask a question.
Did you have like 40 questions?
Yeah, we've answered like 6 of them.
We're not getting 40.
No, okay. I'm going to ask a question, or I'm going to name off the question. You guys can have about 5 seconds, just a few words to give your 2 cents on each one.
Yes or no answers.
All right. Here's the good one. Your opinion on Baylor. I'm surprised that they're doing this well. I thought they're going to be terrible after what happened in the offseason, but I'm very surprised
There's
with
just
how
so
they're
many
doing.
distractions.
Yeah,
They're still performing on the field.
Can they keep this up really, what they're doing?
I think yes, but the distractions would be the one thing that'll limit them.
Yes.
With Seth Russell back,
I think they
do
can.
anything.
Definitely.
I brought this up earlier. The Badgers. Do you think they'll be able to keep winning against top 10 opponents?
I think it matters this week.
That's
this week,
that's
yes.
going to be
Wisconsin
a
plays
good
Michigan.
game.
Michigan, number 4, Michigan.
And Wisconsin number 8.
Number 8, number 4.
This
That'll
could be a
answer your
big
question
reality check
right
for
there.
both teams.
Exactly.
I see Wisconsin winning this game. We'll get to our picks later, but that's going to be a good one. Now here's a very exciting question. How are you liking Arizona State? I'm born and raised here in Arizona, and hope you guys are enjoying your gorgeous state. Forks up. I love Arizona State. It's the best college in the world.
Not gonna lie,
Damn true.
Arizona State football shocked me out of my chair this year.
No doubt. You had told me at the beginning of the year that ASU was going to be 4-0,
I
and
said
Notre
that
Dame and
too.
USC was going to
Bro,
be 1-3.
I'm not talking about their football team. The guy wants to know how we're enjoying Arizona
Oh,
State.
well, that's been
Lovely
great.
school.
Well,
we
let's
find
say
out
this.
new things every
Right.
day. Where we're recording this, we found it, 2 hours ago?
Yeah, we're legit in a sound studio right now.
So we ended up walking around, found a giant sound stage, and that's currently where we are.
I'm almost positive it's a PBS studio.
It is.
It
I
is.
believe it is.
We're sitting in a PBS TV studio right now.
But how do I like ASU? Love it. Walter Cronkite School of Journalism, best sports journalism school in the country.
Hell, we
Free
gotta listen.
football tickets.
Hell, we gotta listen to Bob Costas. We
Yeah.
sat 10 feet from Bob Costas like
Yes,
2
we
weeks
did.
ago.
I love your state of Arizona. Now here's a good question. I mean, I'm gonna ask this to Lyle first. This is just gonna be a yes or no question for everyone. No explanations, just yes or no. I already know what everyone's answer is gonna be on this one. Can Notre Dame reverse their season around since the firing of their defensive coordinator?
Not a chance.
Yikes! No.
No.
Maybe from the USC fan.
Oh, you were
The
such
Notre
a
Dame fan
sweetheart.
has not a chance. So they don't have a chance.
Says Consuelo.
All right, another yes or no. Does Alabama repeat this year?
No.
No.
Yes.
High
I'm gonna say
I think
yes.
it's Ohio State's turn to.
Ohio State, really?
Again?
Again.
I'm gonna say yes.
Next. Yeah, keep going with the yes or no's. I like it. It's quick.
See or
I do
no?
like that.
See or no, yes.
All right, no, I'll have one final question because this one, it's a very thorough question. I'd like to talk about how for years under the BCS, all we heard was strength of schedule and other sorts of BS that never let lesser-known teams have a shot at the title. Now that we have moved to the playoff, you think it would have changed. And it has some, but not all. I don't think strength of schedule matters as much as some people seem to think. What do you guys think?
Well, first off, Brady's flashing us his Indiana Hoosier shirt.
No.
Yes,
I'm
do not
telling
even
you,
lie.
dude, they're a dark horse team this
I'm
year.
telling
They're
you.
not.
They're undefeated, right?
Yes.
Bro.
They play against Michigan State this week.
Oh, God. Never mind.
They're undefeated until Saturday.
How about Maryland? No, I'm totally
Dirty
kidding.
Terps.
I'm totally kidding. Anyways,
Derp.
I think strength of schedule absolutely matters. I think
I
because
think that plays a
SEC
big
teams,
role.
SEC teams who have to beat up on each other for 3 months, the whole season or whatever, and a team goes 10-2. You look at maybe an Ole Miss team that could possibly go 10-2 as opposed to a 12-0 Houston team who maybe will play 1 or 2 tough games. I look at Ole Miss and I say, tougher opponents.
at times it does
I think they're a
become-
stronger team than Houston. I
think at
think strength of
times,
schedule absolutely matters.
It does become unfair at one point or another when I remember when Northern Illinois played a good team.
Oh,
and
back
they
with
were
Oh,
Jordan,
yeah.
back with Jordan
Pac-10.
Lynch, yeah.
Yeah, and they got schmacked because they really are on 2 different levels.
I'm schmacked.
They get schmacked because when they play just MAC-10 teams and then they go to the SEC, well, it's a whole different level.
I'm relating this back to what Josh was talking about earlier, was the strength of schedule. You look at Alabama. They had 4, what'd you say, cupcake games?
they have basically a month off.
Hey,
of college
don't
football.
sleep on Chattanooga.
They play
For the
They play
millionth
Kentucky
time.
this week.
They either
They're
have a bye
preparing
week.
and they're gonna get them. I'm telling you.
They
Go
either have
get
a
'em.
bye week or they're playing
Go get
high
'em.
school teams compared to them.
They still play some top-notch
Yes, they
teams.
play-
They're playing
okay.
A&M. They're playing Ole Miss. They're
Go-
playing LSU. Like, they play some good teams.
Yeah, relating to what Brady said and what I touched on earlier is the SEC, everyone says is the #1 football conference in the country. And they might have the best teams, but they also have some very, very poor teams. So
Yeah.
that is why I still stand
Vanderbilt,
by... that's-
Kentucky.
Yes.
What do you call Oregon
Misery.
State in the Pac-12? I mean,
Okay, well the
Missouri.
reason that I
Hey, they're on the come up, okay? They're,
the reason
they're not as bad as they
reason
used to be.
the reason that I say that the Pac-12 is maybe not the toughest, but the best overall in college football is because you do have those teams that are going to compete for the championship every year. And let's just say that there's 4 of them. It's Oregon, Stanford, UCLA, USC. But everyone else is still matched evenly. In my opinion, I think especially this year, and that's why, at least for the next year or so, there won't be a Pac-12
I
team in
don't
the
think you
playoff.
can take Wazoo or Oregon State and put them up against Stanford. I mean, okay, that game... I shouldn't totally say that. That Wazoo-Stanford game last year was really close, but even still.
But that's the thing in the Pac-12 is that everyone can compete against each other.
Chattanooga.
Just look at random Washington. Washington is, I still don't like them as a top 10 team, but they're still a decent football team this year. They randomly came into the Coliseum last year and just shocked USC.
Fair enough.
I'm going to propose a question to you guys. This one's coming from myself. And I'm guessing a lot of people talk about this too. This is what, the 3rd year of the college football playoff?
Yes.
Do you think in the next 3 years they will go to an 8-team playoff?
I want them
No.
to.
I think they should.
I don't think they should.
Well, I think I told you guys I want them to expand even more. I want them to shorten. I know they never will, but I want them to shorten the season by about 3 games and
American dream,
expand.
can't he?
Expand to 32, which I said I know that'll never happen. But if you have like the number 1 team,
Run it
playing-
like March Madness style.
yeah.
32
it's
is a little
just
much.
too
I
much
could see
Like
16.
I
16, I think
I
would
would
work
get
out
rid
nicely.
of those 3 games at the beginning of the year where you play just random teams and stick to conference schedule, and I would have that tournament style.
I disagree. I just think that's too much football.
I think
that's
that'd be
so
great.
much. That is so much physical demand.
More college
on someone
football?
now. Well, no. I'm not
Yes,
complaining
please.
about the more college football.
Sports.
But I like the way
It's
that
the
it's set up now. But
physicality
it's
on
definitely
the-
it's just a
on the
lot to
student.
ask
Well, how?
on a student athlete
Well-
between the ages of 18 to 19 or 21, 22 years old. That's just a lot to ask.
Yeah.
They're not even making money for it yet, though. That's a lot to ask.
Or so they say.
Well,
It's
I know we
happening.
could talk about this all night, but it is the final segment of our show,
You
the
pick'ems?
Pick'em.
Let's
Picks.
The Pick'em. I feel like I should have like a little like music thing for this. Like,
Da-da-dun, da-da-dun.
oh, I have it.
No, that's taken.
All right, here we go,
Can't use that.
gentlemen.
All right,
Censor.
sorry.
Start your
sorry,
engines.
It's the Pick'em.
Ooh.
Is that kind of cool,
Put your speaker towards the microphone, dumbass.
Are we gonna edit this?
gentlemen?
Probably gonna edit.
Gentlemen, it's the Pick'em.
Okay, that's
Okay, well, we can definitely improve on that. All right, so I chose about the 10 best games of the weeks coming up.
quick fire, rapid
Just
fire.
quick fire. All right.
Yes.
Houston, UConn.
Houston.
Houston.
Houston by a blowout.
UConn.
UConn. Not so fast, my friend. UConn by 25.
All right, so
bold
Houston.
No.
Stanford at Washington.
Stanford
Stanford.
blowout. Absolute blowout.
Blowout.
Absolute blowout.
At home, nah. I say Stanford, but by 10.
I think this is gonna be Washington's wake-up call of why they shouldn't be in the top 10. But hello, Stanford.
I'm taking Washington at home. What? It's a close game. They're at home.
Are you high?
I am not.
If
I
you
am.
two share a high five right now, I'm gonna slap someone.
I am taking.
Don't count out Miles Gaskin.
I'm taking
just
them.
saying.
I'm taking them. All right. Georgia Tech versus Miami.
Miami.
The U.
Gotta rep
Ohio.
the
Miami by a
U.
lot.
Miami.
Miami, Florida, without a doubt.
I love Miami.
I think Georgia Tech deserves some love, but Miami's gonna.
Well, Georgia Tech totally deserves some. love.
Miami's gonna
All
take
the
them.
way.
Oklahoma State, Texas.
I'm gonna say OK State.
I'm gonna say the exact same thing.
I'm gonna say the exact same thing.
If it
as
wasn't
your
for that
exact
Hail
same
Mary, they'd be ranked.
Not so fast, my
Exactly.
friends. Texas by a field goal.
Oh God. Brady, what was your pick?
I said OK State.
All right. Here we. Florida State, North Carolina.
Florida State.
thing. Florida State.
As much as I want to say North Carolina, just because of where Florida State's going, I'm gonna say the Seminoles.
Dalvin Cook torches the Tar Heels this
Ah, that's my boy.
Same as
Dalvin
well.
Cook,
week. Florida
Or-
State.
Georgia, Tennessee.
Tennessee. You didn't hear that from me.
But I
I
did.
said earlier I'd
We'll
like to
muffle
see
your voice.
Tennessee.
Yeah.
I said earlier I'd like to see Tennessee, but I'm gonna say Georgia. Is it at Neyland Stadium?
Yes.
You know what? That's a kicker. I'm gonna change what I said. I'm gonna go.
Actually, no. I think
Rocky
it's at Georgia.
It's at Georgia.
Yeah, it's
Top.
at Georgia.
Never mind. Sorry.
Yeah.
Rocky Top.
Third time's the
Georgia.
charm, Josh.
Yeah.
Georgia.
Georgia. I'm going Georgia.
Tennessee, but in a dogfight.
Tennessee.
Ha, I get that, Lyle.
Bulldogs, I get it.
And
All right.
Tennessee's mascot's a dog.
Both of them.
Dog fight.
My God, I'm just looking at this schedule right now. There's 3 matchups between 2 top 10 teams. Like
Bring it
this
on.
is going to be a good weekend.
Go for it. Let's go.
Number 4 Michigan and number 8 Wisconsin.
Michigan.
Go Big Blue.
Wisconsin.
At the Big House.
Michigan.
Is it at the Big House?
This
Yeah.
is
Wisconsin
it's going to be
will pull through.
Wisconsin's defense. I think is just going to hold Michigan down, but I think Michigan is just too good. But it's going to be a close game. I think
I don't know, I think
it's going to be a
Wisconsin's coming out
low-scoring
here.
game as well.
Really?
I believe.
think they get exposed in this game.
I think this
is
Who?
Wisconsin's coming out here.
If
Wisconsin?
Wisconsin gets exposed. I
They're-
think Michigan shows how good they really are, and I think Wisconsin falls after this week.
All right, TCU and Oklahoma. Oklahoma's 1-2,
I love TCU.
and TCU's ranked 21. But I think this could be a trap game for TCU.
I think it is too.
I got my horns up. Go Frogs.
Go
I'm gonna
Frogs.
say TCU. I'm gonna go all purple on this one.
Really?
Really, I think the running back combine between Joe Mixon and Samaje Perine at Oklahoma is arguably one of the best in the country, and I love
Yeah.
that.
Can't
I love
deny
that
that.
duo.
I cannot
I
deny
take the
that.
Sooners in this game.
I'm gonna be that guy and not pick a winner, but I'll tell you it's gonna be decided by a field goal.
Of course you'd be that guy.
I'm always that guy.
Yeah.
I'm going with Oklahoma in this game. Now, this is going to be probably, there's some good Pac-12 games, but here's a good one. Cal and Utah.
Oh, Utah.
Utes.
Big time Utah. Utah has proven to be clutch just like they were on that last drive last week. Ate up the final 5 minutes against USC and scored with almost no time left.
And is it
Utah.
at Cal?
It's at Cal.
At Cal.
Utah.
Definitely Utah.
I don't know, man. I like
Utah shutting
Cal.
up the
I'm
Bay
going
Area.
with Utah.
I like
I'm not going to
Cal.
be surprised if Cal wins. Now, here we go. Clemson and Louisville, the one that everyone's been waiting for.
Oh boy!
Does-
oh boy!
Where's this at?
It said Clemson, Death Valley.
Clemson. I say
Clemson.
Clemson.
Louisville comes out hot, but Deshaun Watson and Clemson get the dub.
All right, now
I think
Lamar
that's
Jackson's going to have 5 first-half touchdowns. But that's all he's going to have.
I was going to say what's going to be your over/under for touchdowns.
I'm
I'll
gonna
put it.
say
I'll put it
Lamar
at 5. I'll put it at
Jackson
4. Over/under.
We'll put
Over 5.
the
Over 5.
doubts of Heisman contention away and beat Clemson
I think no.
Wow.
I think
at
Clemson,
Death Valley.
I think Clemson takes it at home in a name that has not been on the college football board so far this season. Clemson running back Wayne Gallman.
Wayne
who's
Gallman,
great.
my boy, made a highlight video for him.
I think,
Great
he
guy.
gets, I think he gets back on the map.
You can't have a show without at
I think
least
he-
one.
I think he gets back on the map in this game. Clemson takes it.
I like that pick, Lyle.
I like it
that.
too. I'm going Clemson by 10.
The listeners
And
are
now-
like, what the hell is that? It's a high five. Is
Is
that
there
smacking?
no Louisville pickers here?
Yep.
Oh,
Next.
I'm
Do
the
we not have
wrong.
any?
It's
the
too
next game?
close of a
I'm the
matchup. And the home field advantage, like we talked about earlier, home field advantage in
Yeah,
college football is true.
I'm taking
It's
L.
real.
Jackson.
Phil Jackson.
I'm taking L. Jax.
Which leads us to the final game. The game of the weekend.
Game of the
And
week.
that's right. Cal Poly San Luis Obispo versus Montana State. Montana State in
State.
the upstate. I'm just kidding. I don't even
Dude,
know.
I know one of my old football coaches was a wide receiver at Montana
Really?
State.
I don't even think they play each other this week. I'm just making this up on the spot.
hell,
But
Blake?
we got
I got
Arizona
hope so.
State traveling to USC. Arizona State takes it and goes 5-0.
Sun Devils by a touchdown. Manny Wilkins has a great game.
I really am looking forward to this game. Because with how ASU played against Cal last week, they cannot play like how they played against against USC.
I think USC is going to be
with
ready.
having to come from behind, ASU can't, and I'm at a loss for words. But
ASU or USC, Spencer?
Pick one.
I'm panicking, but I'm going to go biased, and I'm going to pick my Sun Devils.
Woo!
Forks up, baby, forks
But
up.
to rephrase what I said, I do pick the Sun Devils, but their defense has to step up more than they have so far this season.
I said this as soon as the ASU game ended last week. We were heading back to the dorm. I think USC is too fast of a team for ASU, but I think ASU's offense is clicking. They have all their pieces together. They have very good chemistry. I think the dual running back system, all the wide receivers they have, is going to end up winning. I think ASU will win by no more than 10 points.
Just hope Balaji's healthy.
Yeah.
So, I'm going to be there. I'm flying home Friday.
Yes, Mr. SC himself, what is your pick for
SC
this week?
himself. Dude, I'm a broadcaster here at ASU. Come on now. So,
Come on.
I'm from LA, though. I'm not going to be rooting for the Trojans, nor am I going to be rooting for the Sun
Gasp.
Devils. I'm going to be sitting there with a USC hat on, an ASU shirt, and I'm going to be listening for a good epic. I'm going to be watching a good football game, and I'm going to watch the Trojans win. Like it or not, the Trojans,
By how much?
they are 1-3. The Trojans are the better team. SC by 10. Close game. Close game. Close game.
SC by 10.
Field goal to put it away in the final few minutes. Field goal to put it because I thought that's
It's not by Zane Gonzalez, though, Josh.
no. It is by Bomeister for USC.
Oh, my
USC finally
goodness.
has a kicker, but I mean it takes a little piece out of me to say it, but I am gonna pick the Trojans by
The
10.
host of our show, Harris Highlights.
Well, I started
end
off
with you.
And, I mean, I said this week's ago, I feel like USC is going to come ready to play. I'm not going to be shocked if USC wins. I'm not going to be shocked if USC dominates us. If USC wins by 2 or 3 touchdowns, I will not be surprised. But I have to go with ASU. I need to see them go 5-0. And plus, all my family members, I have to brag to them that my team beat theirs. I need to brag to them. But ASU, that's my pick, 5-0. Gentlemen, I don't even know how long this show has been. It's
1
been
hour and 13
Hey, people can't see us
minutes.
because it's a podcast, but I have a Sparky outfit on for my headgear pick for ASU.
God. But if any of you are still listening to the show, we greatly appreciate it. This has been Blake, Josh, Brady, Spencer, and Lyle. Like we said, coming to you. Well, I guess this isn't live. We like to think it's live from the Walter Cronkite School of. I can't even talk right now. It's too
Journalism and mass communication.
Guys, it's past my bedtime. It's 12:04 a.m.
God damn it.
But
It's a new day.
hopefully this can become a weekly thing.
This
so
podcast literally lasted from one day to another.
it's been a 2-day podcast.
It did.
But yeah, so if you've been listening, thank you so much. We greatly appreciate it. If you have any questions for us, I'll be posting everyone's Twitters in the description. If there is a description on SoundCloud, There is, right? There's a description on SoundCloud?
Yeah, post it on YouTube too.
Oh, maybe I'll post it on YouTube with a nice screen of us just going, hey.
Do it.
And next week will probably be more organized and less biased.
Because we honestly thought about doing this, 3 hours ago?
3 hours ago.
Give us some time.
Like, I literally just Google Doc to paper stuff to talk about, and it was everything. But
This has been fun.
this has been a great time. So until
I
next
like
week.
the informality, though. I'm sorry. I totally cut off our nice host. I'm sorry.
Oh, now you know what that means. It's time for us to go off air.
Till next time, folks.
Goodbye.